1986, when Parramatta last won a grand final, the Newcastle Knights were still awaiting entry to the Premiership. Since 1988, the clubs have met 23 times for 11 wins each, plus one draw. As Tim Gilbert reports, the passion that drives their respective quests for success is at its greatest during the month of September. Parramatta's first grand final was in 1976, and it was there that the Eels unveiled the flying wedge.
What's this? A mobile scrum ramrodding into the opposition. Never seen anything like it before.
They scored 2 tries, but lost 13-10. The Eels were there again the following year in another grand final that would make history.
And then to Cronin, and Cronin to Price, and Price, second try there, to Selkowitz, and Selkowitz is in! It's a try! Selkowitz has scored for Parramatta, and it's 9-all. With the kick that could decide the 1977 championship, and it's a horror. Well out to the right, no goal, and Porter takes the tackle. The hooter is gone, and it's all over. 9-all the scores in the grand final, so there'll be no presentation of the Gilpin Shield today.
The first ever drawn grand final, but the historical replay was not one of Parramatta's favourite memories.
Robert Stone spin it away. The easiest of tries. St George Penfold side have done it, and they've done it easily.
But from 1981, it was the golden era for the Eels.
He's got away from support now. He looks at the try. Put out the blast, but Kenny won't be caught from there. That's a great try to Parramatta.
Brett Kenny at his individual best.
Oh, double by Kenny. He's going to go up the corner. Look at Ferguson coming across the cover. And it's Kenny from a freakish bounce. Scores a try in the corner to put the Queen on the case.
1982, Kenny again bags a double.
It's a try. So you can put the glasses down for 82.
6 Eels later that night are selected to represent Australia. 1983, the hat-trick. Kenny again, the only player to score 2 tries in 3 successive grand finals.
That's a good kick too, well placed. It's found. A chance. Yes. Try. And there it is. It's all over. Parramatta are champions again.
And then in 1986, no finer farewell for Eels stalwarts Ray Price and Mick Cronin.
He hits it. He likes it. It's a goal for Cronin. It's a goal for Parramatta. And the Eels lead by 2 points. Bogdan to dummy half. He'll go himself, Bogdan. He's tackled. A metre from the line. There's the siren. Parramatta have won the grand final. Parramatta have won the grand final in 1986.
Finals glory was not to touch Parramatta for another decade, but in recent years, the Blue and Golds have been oh so close to that last weekend in September.
Quick play the ball. Redthorn to the line. He's over. Redthorn has scored for Brisbane. The minor premiers are into the grand final.
It took the Newcastle Knights 4 years to get their first taste of finals football, 1992 against Western Suburbs.
Round the back. Godden. 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 Yes. Try. Newcastle advanced in 1992.
They met the Dragons the following week, losing by just a point.
Working it to Hagan. A set play. Sending Sargent inside the corner. Picking up Herman. Herman with the double movement. Now what will they do? They're going for the drop goal. Peter Coyne gets the kick in. Annesley signals yes. And the Saints, they go to the final.
3 years later, and the Knights reached the penultimate. After beating Norths and Cronulla in the first 2 weeks of the 95 finals, they meet minor premiers Manly, and the duel between Harrigan and Carroll resumed.
Oh, Carroll! Great
the game hangs in the balance until late in the second half, when the Eagles skip away with victory.
It's Toomey! Lions! Oh, Clippy! And down goes the season for Newcastle.
Harrigan and Carroll were at it again in 1997, only this time it was the real deal. Grand final football.
They believe Harrigan put a high shot on Toomey. Harrigan goes in another bit again. Harrigan and Carroll across for Craig Innes. Hubberwadi will score. Hubberwadi puts it over the line. And away, Roe Davis. A dummy to Craigie. He'll go over. Robbie O'Davis. Miles has put Neverton.
Manly led at half-time 16-8, and then came one of the greatest fightbacks in rugby league history.
Then he picks up O'Davis. O'Davis looking for his second try at the time. He's on the line. Down the block, Andrew John. Inside to Albert. Albert will score. Newcastle have won the grand final. Newcastle have won rugby league's crown.
Since then, they've been there in September, but never the last weekend.
Gilly for Albert, he's over. And Albert is in. Oh, intercepted. And it is Brad. He's away inside the 10. He's there.
The most humbling defeat coming last year, blowing a half-time lead and giving the Roosters the grand final berth. This year, the Knights and the Eels have led the way in a final series. Can the Knights repeat the glories of 97?
Kennedy! They know they've won it. They know they are going to Stadium Australia.
Or is this the beginning of a new blue and gold era?
Jamie Lyons away, and the young fella from Weewar, he goes in to score for Parramatta. They know they've won it. They know they are going to Stadium Australia.
Wonderful stuff there, and thanks to Centaur Films for some of that earlier film that you saw in that terrific package. Two great clubs with terrific support bases and junior development movements that have become the envy of the Premiership. Tonight, all those resources and all that passion comes down to just 80 minutes. The Parramatta Eels versus Newcastle Knights in the grand final, live here on 9. Next, Gus, Paddy, Sterlo, Rabs and the Chief. In fact, the entire 9 Rugby League panel with their exclusive preview of tonight's big game. Stay with us.